So in this video, I want to talk about this trend I've been seeing a lot on social media of Black women announcing their plans to date non-Black men. And I want to talk about this because even though these women are saying they want to date out, many of them are still simultaneously trying to get Black men to act right or not be colorist or be pro-Black when it's just not going to work. And so I want to discuss how I feel many Black women are talking about dating out, but not genuinely interested in doing it in real life. And I also want to share some tips that may help Black women who genuinely want to date out and explore other options in men and life in general, but maybe struggling to take the next steps because you're scared or you just don't know what to do next. So I want to first say that I am not completely opposed to Black women talking about dating non-Black men online because it could encourage other Black women to expand their options and not be solely stuck on dating Black men. I also think that a Black woman can date out for whatever reason she chooses, whether it's intentional or it happens naturally. I hear people say a lot that a Black woman needs to be healed and perfect before dating non-Black men, but for some reason, nobody says that Black women have to be perfect before dating Black men. Or they'll say Black women shouldn't date non-Black men because they're mad at Black men. Meanwhile, it's okay for Black men to say all over the internet that they're dating other races of women because Black women ain't acting right. So while I do believe that Black women should be in a healthy state of mind before dating any race of men, she's not required to be perfect. And nobody gets to tell Black women the reasons we can and can't date out, because those reasons will be different for every Black woman. If one Black woman wants to date out because she's tired of dating Black men, she can do that. If another Black woman wants to date out because she wants to try something new, she can do that. If a Black woman wants to date out to increase her chances at hypergamy, she can do that. It's wonderful if interracial dating for a Black woman just happens naturally, but Black women are also allowed to date intentionally like everyone else. So there are no rules to this, ladies. However, I think we should move strategically when it comes to how we talk about dating interracially online, especially if you're looking to attract men of a certain caliber. Personally, I don't recommend getting on camera with your face showing, basically saying that because Black men are not acting right, you're going to go and get a non-Black man instead. Even if that's how you feel, it's not very smart to say it out loud with your real name and face showing, because it could actually make you look less appealing to the men you're wanting to attract if they so happen to see it. Now, if you're just randomly talking about interracial dating and the non-Black men you like or attracted to, or you're already partnered with a non-Black man and you're just sharing your experience, that's different. I have a platform dedicated to giving strategic advice to dark-skinned women, and I'm anonymous. I keep this and my personal life completely separate. So what I say about interracial dating, it stays here. And what I say here isn't for you to just repeat all willy-nilly any and everywhere, especially if you have a lot to lose. Ladies, I recommend that you keep this information in your head or share it with other Black women you trust. That's it. It's all about where and how you say things. It's kind of like this. If a white man said on the internet, "Oh, I love Black women and I find them attractive," versus a white man saying, "These white women don't want me, so I'm going to go get a Black woman," I'm quite sure that most of you wouldn't find that second phrase appealing, because you would feel like an afterthought, or like you were being settled for or sought after because your standards are so low. Or stereotyped as a Black woman, you want a man to choose you because he's attracted to you or attracted to Black women, not because he couldn't attract a white woman. It's kind of like the men who are announcing that they're going overseas to get foreign women because American women cost too much and they're too entitled and they're not submissive. These men are saying this on the internet. They're showing their faces, and some of the non-American women have seen the videos and they're responding and they're like, no. Keep your toxicity over there. If it's not good enough for Western women, it's not good enough for us either. Now, I don't know how many of those women are the actual women these men are attempting to prey on, but clearly the word is getting out and the women are learning that these men are traveling to other countries because the impoverished foreign women especially are looking for a come up. And they know that because these women aren't used to having much, they'll be easier to control, easier to manipulate, and easier to have sex with. I talked about this recently in a live stream I did about this angry red pill passport brothers follower who was was mad at one of my videos and he was using my clip out of context. The video is available for members and patrons if you're interested. The links are in the description box. And so I think we need to be smarter than Black men in this area and watch what we say online with our real names and face showing. I'm going to say it again and again. What you say online and attach your face and your name and your identity to has consequences, as we saw with the Black woman therapist on TikTok who just got fired. I know many of you Black women are young. I know you're going to make mistakes, but Black women have got to be smarter about the way we move online. Once it's online, it's out there forever. There's nothing you can do about it. Now, I want to discuss how a lot of Black women are talking about dating out, but haven't actually taken the next steps to do so. And I completely understand how it may be hard for a lot of Black women to just jump into interracial dating if you've never done it before and you're only used to dating Black men. I know it's hard dating men, period, right now with the rise of incels and all these lonely, disgruntled men. But there are also Black women who are still dating, still get married to quality men. So it's not impossible. And I just know that some of y'all have been under my videos for 2 years probably talking about how you're going to open up your options to non-Black men and haven't even spoken to one on the phone. So I want to make sure that we aren't just talking about dating out or announcing that we're dating out to trigger Black men or because we like the idea of it, but never really plan on actually doing it. Now, if you're getting yourself together and you're losing weight, you're trying to level up before you date to try to get the best man possible and you plan on dating out, but you just haven't yet, this doesn't apply to you. If you're just not interested in dating right now or at all and you want to be alone, this also doesn't apply to you. This is for the Black women it applies to. Now, let's talk about taking the next step and getting out of your comfort zone. So a comment I get quite often is, Chrissy, I've lost attraction to Black men, but I'm not attracted to non-Black men either. What do I do? And first, I think it's important to acknowledge that it is possible for Black women to lose their desire for Black men. A lot of Black men are very arrogant. They're so used to Black women only having a preference for Black men, so they don't think it's possible. But it's just not true. And nothing super traumatic has to happen to a Black woman to lose her attraction to Black men. We don't have to be violated or left with a baby. We can just look at how many of them treat other Black women, or we can just look online and hear what they're saying about Black women in the Black manosphere. That happened to me when I came on YouTube. I started doing videos. They didn't like my content, even though I was actually an ally to them. They still harassed me, they stalked me, they threatened my life. Now, there was a handful that supported me in DDS magazine, but there was far more hate than anything else. See, 7 years ago, Black men online, they weren't as supportive of the pick-me's like they are today. They ruthlessly attacked the pick-me's. And in recent years, they've gotten a little bit smarter, and they pay the pick-me's to basically be their attack dogs and chastise us, quote-unquote, evil misandrists. It's very lucrative to be a pick-me for Black men these days, but back then it wasn't. So yeah, I was harassed, and during the process, I learned who Black men were collectively, their psyche, how they think, how dysfunctional the Black community was. And yes, after 7 years of all of that, it made me lose my desire for Black men. And I've been easing my way back into the dating scene after my last relationship, and I've been exclusively dating non-Black men, and it'll likely stay that way. Not saying that non-Black men are perfect and they don't come with their own problems, because they definitely do, like all men. But on average, I do find them more enjoyable to date. And I've also just been more physically attracted to them than I have been in the past as well. And I've dated non-Black men when I was younger, so I'm not new to it, but it's definitely new that Black men are no longer my preference. And I'll never say never, but at this point in time, I'm just not interested in dating Black men or going out of my way to date them. And I know some of you are going to call me bitter and jaded for saying that, but at this point in my life, I'm not even mad at Black men. I'm not resentful. I'm not jaded. I'm actually really at peace with my decision. I've accepted most of them for who they are. I'm less worried about who they like, who they sleep with. And that's why you don't see me make that kind of content anymore. Unless, of course, it's something viral and they're trying to manipulate Black women into supporting certain men that we shouldn't be supporting. But outside of that, I just don't care. I am living my life like it's golden, and I'm trying to bring other Black women with me. And this is not to say that I don't know other Black women who are happy with Black men, because I do. I'm just telling you where I'm at right now, and it could change, but that's where I'm at. I want to share with Black women how I got to this place and share some things that you can do to get out of your comfort zone and actually start dating non-Black men instead of just talking about it if it's something that you want to do. So again, I have always liked a variety of flavors, if you will. So I can't really tell you how to be attracted to non-Black men. I've heard people say you can't help who you're attracted to, but like I said, my desires changed, so I know it's possible for your taste to change. And it usually does change for women when we get older. So instead of trying to tell you how to be attracted to non-Black men, I want to instead discuss some things that I think plague Black women and keep us from dating out and being attracted to the non-Black men that are into Black women. And I've already talked about the issues a lot of Black women have with the idea of having kids who don't look like them and the colorism aspect and burning the cape or letting go of the need to be pro-Black and blackity black, Black first instead of woman first. So make sure you check out my old videos on those topics if you haven't seen them. I'm more so talking about the women who have already burned the cape but are still stuck in this weird space where they're beyond their past life, but they're still standing there waiting to take the leap into their future life. They're trapped in that isolated, lonely space. And I know a lot of Gen Z girls don't have this problem, but I'm talking to the Black women who are still struggling. I think one of the main things plaguing American Black women, especially when it comes to dating non-Black men, and especially white men, is the fear of racism and culture shock. And it's mainly because of the history with white people and racism in this country. And listen, these are rightful concerns. There are racist white men and other non-Black men that will still pursue a Black woman and still be racist just like any other low-quality man that hits on you. But just like those men, you dismiss him and you move on to the next. If all of these problems Black men have, colorism, Black femicide, if that hasn't stopped you from dating Black men altogether because quote unquote not all of them are like that, then surely you can still be open to dating non-Black men because not all of them are racist. This is why vetting is extremely important. Don't let anyone tell you differently, especially if the people telling you not to vet chose poorly themselves. For most men, it is not hard to see the red flags. It is not hard to skip over racist non-Black men. You don't have to tolerate his racist family or friends if he has them. And if he tries to force you to tolerate them, he's not the one. A lot of these swirling gone wrong stories involving Black women who come out and talk about how horrible their experience was with the racist non-Black man they were with probably ignored a lot of red flags that they shouldn't have. And that same Black woman likely would have chosen poorly within the community as well. But see, they don't tell you that. And the same applies to these Black men who go out here and choose these racist white women and they end up getting got. Again, the vetting process is extremely important. I can't stress that enough. Also, if he doesn't understand something about your hair, your culture, or vice versa, have a conversation about it. This is what communication is for. One thing Black women need to get past is the desire to have every single thing in common with the man you're with. One thing about Black men, they don't have that when they date out. They don't really care that the women they pursue have nothing in common with them or their culture. Not as much as we do. They seem to embrace the differences. And that's actually something we can learn from Black men. And when it comes to the hair thing and Black women not wanting to explain their hair routine and their hair practices with non-Black men, while I understand that, the non-Black men who frequently date Black women, they kind of already know. And if they don't, you can usually just explain it to them and it's not a big deal. It's really not as big of an issue as some Black women are making it. And another thing is, it's well known that Black men can also have a problem with Black hair on Black women, especially when it's natural and coarse. So there's always the potential that you can meet any race of man that has an issue with your hair. And there are just so many other more important things that you can find relatable with the person you're dating outside of hair or music or food. And these days, it's highly likely that you can find even non-Black men who enjoy the same things that you enjoy. And vice versa. Every activity you do also does not have to be culturally Black. And just because you date a non-Black man doesn't mean you can't go to Black events. I went to a Black art show to support a Black woman artist and I went with a non-Black man. We had a good time. It's really not that serious. And am I saying there are no differences that you may have to get used to? No. But what I am saying is that it's really not as hard as you think it is. And this is coming from a former pro blackety black, dark skinned black woman with natural hair. And you can also find a non-black man that smells good and pleases you sexually. Not all white men smell like dogs. Not all non-black men have small packages and all the other ridiculous stuff y'all complain about. And let's be real, most of you guys are only repeating what you heard from some hotep nigga say about white men. You haven't actually experienced that for yourself. So you can't knock sex that you've never had. You can't complain about an experience with a non-black man that you've never had. So try it first, or twice, or 3 times, and then decide if you don't like it. Ladies, it's important to remember that while some of your fears are very real, some are also in your head, and some of them are born out of all of the pro-black fear mongering that black women in particular are subjected to in the black community. But not every white man is going to fetishize you or call you the N-word or try to harm you. No, the black community is telling you that every single white man or non-black man is dangerous because they want to keep your womb in the black community and keep you loyal to the race and loyal to black men. They don't want to lose their Wakandan warrior come-up women. So they have to manipulate you in any way they can. And they're going to try to scare you to death. And that brings me to the next thing. One thing I keep hearing from the manosphere is that less than 1% of white men marry black women and 0.2% of Asian men marry black women. And every time I heard somebody quote those stats, I didn't see anyone actually show a visual of the reference or give a link to the reference. So I did my own research. I found the Wikipedia page. At least I'm assuming this is where they're getting this information from. And mind you, these statistics are from 2010. But let's just go with these numbers. If you look at this table, you'll see that yes, under 1% of white men are married to black women and 0.2% of black women have Asian men. But the table also shows that under 1% of white women are married to black men and 0.4% of white women are married to Asian men. There's not a lot of difference there. And these are all very low percentages because most people in general marry within their race. So using this for a gotcha moment towards black women who wish to date out is stupid. Furthermore, white people outnumber everybody. There's over 100 million white men in this country. And according to this chart on Wikipedia, half of them are married. And I'm sure the percentage is higher when you exclude the white males under 18. But either way, the number of non-married white men outnumbers the entire black female population of 22 million. So the minority of black women who even are interested in swirling, which is small, they likely won't have a hard time finding a white man. We don't need a big percentage of them to want us because we're so outnumbered. The women who want to date white men or non-black men, we only need one. We don't need all of them. But instead of giving us the raw numbers, the manosphere will say, oh, it's only less than 1% of white men who marry black women. And to me, that only shows how dishonest they are and how desperate they are to stop black women from swirling. You don't see them saying, oh, black men only get under 1% of white women, so that means they can't date out. And see, it's things like this that made me stop being pro-black, because the lengths that black men in this community go to manipulate black women is disgusting, especially women they don't even want. It's disgusting, it's cruel, and it's selfish. And ladies, they're counting on you to just hear the information and not do your due diligence and find the information on your own. So stop allowing them to lie to you. Question everything they say and do your own research. Stop believing that no non-black man will ever want you, because it's a lie. So now that we've established that it's likely enough non-black men available for the black women who are interested in dating or marrying them, let's move on. Another reason I think black women who have burned the cape and want to date non-black men but can't bring themselves to do it is that they are resistant to change. And this applies not only to dating, but just in general. And not only do you need to be okay with change, but first you need to give yourself permission to change, and to change however you see fit, however it's going to benefit you, despite what your friends think, how your family feels about it. If you want to improve your appearance, how you dress, how you speak, how you live, you can do that. All of the comments, oh, I liked you better when you were thick. Oh, you think you too good now. Oh, you trying to be white? Oh, you think you a white woman? Ugh, why you acting fake? You too good for black men now? Yeah, you got to ignore all of that mess. You got to ignore all of that and keep it moving, because none of those people are going to pay your bills or improve your life. When you want to level up or be a better version of yourself, get a better job, be around better people, attract better men, whatever it is that you want to do, it requires you to change. And when you change, there will be people, other black people, who will not like it. Not only will some of your family and friends not like it, but the community won't like it. A lot of black men won't like it because you're not acting like the black woman that they're used to. And you have to be prepared for that and come to terms with it. There will be times where you have to cut people off, both family and friends, and just live your own life until you can make new friends as the new you. It's important to remember, black women, that you are allowed to change. Black women are allowed to change, and however we want to change, for whatever reason we want to change. We are allowed to code switch. We are allowed to become whoever we want to be to advance in life. Just like black men, the black men who are hating on you, telling you you shouldn't change, they do the same thing, and so does everyone else, to get their jobs, to attract the people they want to date, or just level up in general. So don't allow the community, don't allow these black men online to force you into quote unquote keeping it real or keeping it black in an attempt to keep you in the lowly, ratchet position they think you belong in as a black woman. Even if you were born into a certain position, that doesn't mean you have to stay there just because you're a black woman. And certainly not because it makes other black people feel uncomfortable to see you change or move away from them. So being okay with change and transformation, I think, is the first step to getting outside of your comfort zone. And that segues into my next thought on this topic. I think a lot of black women who are resistant to change are struggling with imposter syndrome. You feel like you can't do something, or you don't deserve to do something, or have something, or have a certain kind of person. In your head, you're thinking about it, you want to do it, you're saying to people online that you're going to do it, but deep down, you don't feel like you deserve it, or you don't think that you can. And so that imposter syndrome stops you from taking action. But the best way, in my opinion, to get over it is to just do it. And you don't have to do everything at once. You can kind of ease your way into it. You can start meeting new people and men online. If that makes you comfortable, they even have apps now where you can go on there to meet friends. Try new things and new activities that you never thought of trying before. Go places you're not used to going. Participate in community activities at your school, your college, your job, or your neighborhood if you live in a nice area, and start networking. And don't be discouraged if it feels awkward at first, or you don't meet a lot of people the first time, or if you don't hit it off with new people or a guy that you may like the first time, or even the first couple of times, the first few times. Keep at it until you get used to it. Don't be discouraged if you go to a new place and the white people there are looking at you weird. You belong there and you deserve to be there just like they do. Or even if you embarrass yourself in some way the first couple times you go somewhere. So what? There will always be an opportunity to get it right the next time. Something else you have to embrace on your level up journey is failure, ladies. Not every experience outside of the black community or black men will be a good experience, and that's okay. Dust yourself off, go somewhere else, meet another guy, and try again. It's okay. I promise it's okay. So I hope this video will help some black women get out of their comfort zone and take the next step towards not only dating out if they want to, but just creating new experiences in general. You are not obligated to stay the same forever. You can be different, you can date different, and you can experience life differently. So please share this video with a black woman you think needs to hear it. Also, let me know what you think down in the comment section. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch up with you in the next one.